Hello friends, for a very long time there was a question that really bothered me. The question was very simple. Why the hell am I doing this? Why am I recording this video? Why am I posting book reviews on my newsletter or doing podcasts with authors? For a very long time I thought that the answer to this question lies in the fact that reading, being a reader, is a very solitary activity. It is a very isolating activity because for hours you stare at a book, you read it, you're isolated both almost like physically and in your mind from the rest of the humanity, and you spend time with someone who is possibly already dead. And it feels sometimes very lonely when you do this. You want to find like-minded people who share the passion for the same books that you love, for the ideas that those books express and the feelings that they inspire. But I thought this answer is just partial, it's not full, that there is something missing in that answer. I've found, I think, the rest of the answer to that question, and I found it on the pages of one of the greatest writers of all time. His name is Seneca. He often is described as a doctor for a soul, a man who can heal you when you face some unresolved problems, when you face anxiety, when you try to find some answers to the questions you are looking for. And I stumbled upon a passage in his 6th letter, from his Letters from a Stoic. Seneca says that there is no enjoying the possession of anything valuable unless one has someone to share it with. I shall send you accordingly the actual books themselves, and to save you a lot of trouble hunting all over the place for passages likely to be of use of you, I shall mark passages so that you can turn straight away to the words I approve and admire. In this passage, essentially, Seneca tells to his friend Lucilius, to whom he wrote his letters, he says, let me draw a map of the places that I discovered, so you don't have to draw and start all over again. Perfect metaphor of what Seneca says here is just imagine trying to find a treasure without having a map at hand. It could be buried anywhere on the planet. It could be in France or in Australia. It could be anywhere, you know. And it is similar with wisdom. Although there are so many great books out there, it is often very hard to find the precise treasure that will resonate with your soul. The role of Seneca, as he describes it, is to provide you the map, the partial map that he already drew, so his friend Lucilius wouldn't have to begin it from the same place, from the very start. So he could continue the journey that Seneca had begun for him already. I'm no Seneca, of course. I'm nowhere to compare, but I feel that when I read those great books, and the books that I share with you are the books that I believe are worth of your attention, that you will get value from them. And my role is to say, this is what the book is about. If it resonates with you, buy it and read it. I'll just provide the map that I've already drawn for myself, so you can continue and perhaps help someone else. Long story short is to share with you 5 books that I'm currently reading. As you know, I read several books in parallel, and I have a whole separate video that you'll find in one of those corners. But I would like to share with you the books that I'm reading, and I hope that already by this long introduction you are already curious about reading Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. He was one of the greatest writers in philosophy in history, because he saw philosophy not as a discussion of different terms, not this abstract, useless activity, but philosophy, saw philosophy as something that needs to provide an instant help to everyone who needs it. If you are looking for a good edition and a good translation with an amazing introduction to Seneca, his life, his personality, I would really recommend you this cloth-bound edition published by Penguin Press. As you can see, Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. Another book that I'm currently reading also is from, let's say, the same classical period of Rome. I think, you know, there was a popular thing right now on the internet that every man thinks about ancient Rome at least once in a day. I think I'm one of those men. Whether it is good or bad, you can judge it for yourself. But books like this, which is called How to Win an Argument, Marcus Tullius Cicero, are really great introductions to some of the ideas that I want to practice. And mainly this book is Introduction to Rhetoric. I have to say, I have several books, full books on rhetoric, not introductory books, but let me find it. Say I have this academic edition of Cicero's Rhetorica ad Herennium, and although this book is one of the best manuals and introductions to rhetoric, it is a very academic book. I wanted something very clear, concise, that will allow me to go to the main points of rhetoric before I'll dive into each of them later on. So How to Win an Argument will give you a really good introduction to the essence of rhetoric. I have actually done kind of a cheat sheet of this book of like the key concepts that I want to practice. If you are interested, leave a comment down below and I can share it either in a video, in a future video, or in my newsletter. We'll discuss it in the comment section. Often I get obsessed about certain ideas. I get like really focused on a thinker, on their life, and I read everything about them, by them, and around them. In this period of my life, it is Seneca. So I was looking for a really good biography of Seneca, and I was recommended Emily Wilson's Seneca Alive. I'm right at the start of the book, and I have to say it's wonderfully written. I really enjoy reading it. The flow is very easy. It has a lot of facts and insights into Seneca's psyche, and I think the aim of biography is not to tell the chronological order of the events in someone's life, but instead to tell you how their life influenced their thinking or their actions. I don't care in what date Seneca had, I don't know, breakfast, or when did he travel from Spain to Rome. I don't care about that. What I care about, what events and how those events shaped his ideas. Seneca's life, I would recommend you to read. Actually, Emily Wilson is the person who you might know already about, because recently she translated Homer's Iliad, which I don't have, but somewhere here, it's right behind the chair, so I'll spare you some time. Emily Wilson translated the Iliad recently, and before that she did Odyssey, and her translation is actually one of the smoothest and the clearest that I've read of Odyssey. The next book that I would like to share with you, as you know, I really love journaling. I talk about it. I have a Patreon page about it. I bought this wonderful book that was published just recently, I think in the past 6 months. It's called The Notebook, A History of Thinking on Paper, written by Raymond Allen. He's a wonderful writer. It's just his first book, so his next book might be either as good or slightly worse or slightly better, I don't know, but for the first book, it's wonderfully written. He tells us the story of essentially our relationship with paper, with writing, of us thinking on paper. And I read a lot about the concept in neuroscience, which is called embodied cognition, which means that essentially the tools that we use also shape our way of thinking. And writing, pen and paper, or clay tablets before and papyrus before, and now our digital devices, they shape the way we think. The tools that we use shape our chains of thought. And I felt like this is a really wonderful story of how we, first of all, came up with writing, how we used writing, how did the idea of keeping a commonplace book, of keeping accounts, financial accounts, which Florentines did. I have a video about it on my Patreon channel. So it's really wonderful book. In other words, I don't want to kind of diminish or like reduce this book, but this is a history of journaling. But journaling is not just writing on paper, it is thinking on paper. I would really recommend you. I'm halfway through it. I'm dipping in and out between all those 5 books. And the last one is Selected Poetry by Lord Byron. I really love Byron's poetry, and recently, as I said in my previous video about John Cassian and how to focus, I started learning poetry by heart over the last couple of months, and I see that it helps me a lot when it comes to focusing and when it comes to taking back the control over my thoughts. Each time I feel distracted, each time I feel that my mind is in kind of a chaos, I start to recite poetry by heart. And of course, you can't recite just a single poem, it gets boring. So I started learning poems by heart, and I recite them. There are some books that I haven't yet started reading, but I would like to briefly show on camera. As I said, I am reading Byron's poetry, and I really love everything about him. And I thought like that this new biography of Byron, published by Cambridge University Press, written by Andrew Stoffer, is going to be a really good introduction to Byron's life. The next book that I would like to share is The Greek Experience by C.M. Bora. Is considered to be one of the greatest scholars of Greek philosophy and Greek ideas. The reason why I decided to pick this book, I think somewhere in the New York Times article, Donna Tartt said that this is one of the best books on Greeks. And I read the description. He was one of the top specialists in that. My American viewers will know Emerson, and this is the portable Emerson. Not so portable when you look at it because it's this like 700 pages, but I really love Emerson and American philosophy. Heraclitus, his fragments are found in the charity shop. Heraclitus has influenced perhaps every philosopher that I love and enjoy. And Meister Eckhart, Selected Writings. Meister Eckhart is famed for integrating a lot of Platonic philosophy into Christianity. And I thought like what makes Christianity interesting is that it borrowed a lot of philosophical ideas from the Stoics, in Seneca himself, for example, and from Greek philosophers. So it's interesting how philosophy influenced theology. I hope this video was interesting for you. As I said, the answer to the question of why am I doing this is kind of like I'm fulfilled by the answer that I found. It's not only connecting with people like you who stay with me till the end, but also knowing that maybe I gave you some map that will help you to find your next favorite read that will change perhaps the course of your life. Or maybe I'm too ambitious. I hope once again that all is well, and I'll see you in the next one.